Is that, well, yes, everything that the Trump meeting and all the stuff, the circumstantial evidence that was there, that was all a part of the public record.
Right.
And the public's not saying it was collusion. He may think it is, but he gets, gets to make.
In Angelo, Texas, of all places. In Angelo, Texas, of all places. In Angelo, Texas, of all places. Of course, this is what he represents. In Angelo, Texas, of all places. Hi, I'm Joe Hyde with San Angelo Live, and with me is Congressman Mike Conaway, who's kind enough to come to San Angelo, Texas, of all places. Of course, this is what he represents, this in Midland, in his district. CD 11, right?
Exactly.
Congressional District 11. So we'll get right into it, Congressman.
Well, first off, Joe, I'm not kind. I'm on your payroll.
Oh, okay.
And so 29 counties in District 11, and so San Angelo's one of those folks we're at a lot, but I'm on. I get up every day thinking I'm on y'all's payroll. So
one of the things, since you're on our payroll, one of the things
right.
that's most pressing is, Manny Diaz and I went down to the border of Mexico in Del Rio, Texas.
Okay.
Of course, that's in the Del Rio sector of the Customs and Border
right.
Protection. We talked to the chief down there. He's a brand new chief, very motivated. His name Raul Ortiz. And one of the problems he has is primarily it's not money. It's administrative. It's the law
right.
that needs to be changed. Where are we on immigration in the Congress, and where are you on it?
Yeah. So step back a second and put a big umbrella over all of that. Immigration, border security, internal enforcement, every piece of that. It says, let's always unapologetically operate in America's own best interest. We don't need to be harsh and mean and hateful and ugly. We just have to be firm. This policy is in our best interest, we'll do it. This policy is not in our best interest, we won't do it. So first question to ask is it in America's best interest to know who is coming and going in and out of our country every day? And I would say yes. Is it in our country's best interest to know what is coming and going in and out of our country? The answer is yes. So if you're answering yes to those, then why not put the right resources, tools, number of people, and yes, infrastructure at the border to gain that operational control that the Secretary Chief is talking about. To gain operational control, which is in our country's best interest. And that's the exact person you listen to. He's charged with maintaining operational control. He knows what he needs. Now, not the entire 2,000 miles, his sector, his or her sector. And so we should be going to each one of those Border Patrol sector chiefs and the other professionals and say, what do you need to make that happen? And a very rational, straightforward issue, because this is in America's best interest to get this done. And then once you've gained operational control of the border, everything else we have to do with respect to immigration, naturalization, asylums, all those kind of things, those get just a little less difficult to do because we now know we've got that backstop at the border. That unlike in '86 when we had the blanket amnesty and we're going to gain control of the border, we just didn't do it.
About '86, that was the
1986
deal, that was the deal Reagan made with primarily the Democrats.
Democrats, yeah.
So we'll give amnesty to the people already
one
here.
Time.
One time.
Yep,
one time deal. And if we pass these laws.
Well, with gain operational control of the border, we didn't do it. So if we could do that now.
So since '86, you don't think we've really had operational control of the border?
Well, no, we wouldn't have all these folks in the country illegally if we had.
Yeah.
So now we have control of the border and we're getting better. The other thing is the bad guys get better as well. Every time we do something, they react. Every time we change our techniques, tactics, and procedures, they change theirs as well. And so border security, border control will be an ever evolving process. We will always have to get better because the folks you're trying to bring drugs or traffic people or whatever they're trying to do, they will attempt to get better as well. And so it's never going to get done, so to speak. But and we're better today than we were 4 or 5 years ago. And, some things as simple as eradicating Caruso cane on our side of the river through those vast stretches where it's a noxious weed. But it provides hiding places and rat lines through there that our overhead cameras and our sensors don't work as well as if we had this. So, it runs from the straightforward, get rid of the cane to, walls and barriers and other things to control population flows and other things. But let's listen to the Border Patrol sector chiefs. They know what they're doing. They know what they need to do. And it's in America's best interest to make that happen.
I got a follow-up question on this. One of the things we saw down there, and of course the problem right now is what they call OTM, or other than Mexican immigrants. They're coming up and they're claiming,
Asylum.
declaring asylum. And so now they circumvent all kinds of deportation procedures and things like that they already have in
Right.
place. And one of the things that I saw was, we witnessed, there's a Stripe station on Veterans Boulevard in Del Rio. Every day about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Border Patrol drives up there and dumps off a whole bunch of people who are illegal in this country with asylum court dates sometime in the next 12 to 24 months. And then they're told they're free to go anywhere in the United States.
Yep.
So is there anything in Congress we're doing to change those asylum rules, I guess?
Not right now. There's obviously we've got, the Republicans have bills that are either in the hopper or going to the hopper that would address the loopholes in the asylum rules that we've got. There's a Flores case out there that says we can only hold family units for a certain number of days if they are seeking asylum. Economic deprivation is not asylum. Running from neighborhood thugs is not asylum. It's being afraid of your own government. So there's some rules there, but we've got loopholes in there that are being exploited by the bad guys. The folks coming up are being taught exactly the magic 3 or 4 words to say that get them into that system versus being deported and sent back home. And so Congress has to fix that. The president can't executive order that into being fixed. That has to be Congress's fix. And I don't sense a lot of movement by my Democrat colleagues who are in charge in the House making that happen. We have bills, and the Republicans have put up things to fix that, but no movement yet.
Trump's, or the Mueller report,
Yep.
and all this happening, all this politics involving that. Now, you were in charge of the investigation originally, the original House investigation, right? On the
Yes.
Intelligence Committee.
Right.
Was there anything new that they found in the
No.
Mueller report that you didn't already find in the House Intelligence Committee's
So the Mueller report was 2 sections, 200-page sections. One was on collusion and what the Russians did. The other was on obstruction. We had nothing to do with obstruction. That was not our mandate. We were the collusion and what did the Russians do or not do, those kind of things. And quite frankly, not much. We issued our report a year ahead of Mueller's report, given the things that we found. We did not find evidence of collusion. That was basically his conclusion as well. And there may have been, now think about this, he had 19 seasoned veteran prosecutors, the best. He had 40 hand-picked FBI agents that he picked on his team, and almost an unlimited budget. So you would have expected him to do a lot thorough investigation than we were able to conduct with our limited resources in the House, and yet he didn't find anything that dramatically different than what we found in terms of evidence of a collusion with the Russians.
So where is this Congressman Schiff from
Yes.
California? Where is he? I mean, you listen to him talk, and he's just still convinced that Trump is guilty of something. And he has a long spiel. He does.
Oh, he does.
It sounds convincing.
He's very articulate. He and I led that investigation together, and but he is. He's just, there's a phrase out of the military called target fixation. It had to do with the Vietnam War, where a helicopter pilot would be so fixated on his target, he would actually fly it into his gunship into the target.
Or fat saturation.
I think Adam has target fixation. He's so fixated on getting rid of Trump. He's so disdainful and just doesn't like the president at all that I think his judgment is impaired in that regard. I hurt his feelings by asking for his resignation.
Yeah, we covered that.
Because he had said on more than one occasion that he had evidence that he and Eric Swalwell had, or that his side of the committee had, that wasn't available to you because it was, he never said it was classified, but the innuendo was that, we got some stuff.
Yeah.
And he didn't. And he made that claim more than once, and he's kind of morphed it now to, well, that was hiding in plain sight. All the evidence is out. Well, yes, everything that the Trump meeting and all the stuff, the circumstantial evidence that was there, that was all a part of the public record.
Right.
And the public's not saying it was collusion. He may think it is, but he gets, he's gets to make that decision for himself. But he is really fixated on getting rid of Trump.
Okay.
President Trump.
So is Trump going to get impeached?
I don't think so. One, I don't believe he's done anything to warrant it. But obviously, articles of impeachment have already been filed in the House. At some point in time, those folks may have enough sway with Speaker Pelosi that it'll override her good judgment that impeaching President Trump is not in the Democrats' best interest. Mm-hmm. She's walking a fine line between what's in best interest of the 2020 election and what's in the best interest of our nation. And as an example, with the trade agreement between Mexico and Canada, That's in the best interest of our nation. How does she go there? But in this impeachment thing, it's clearly in the best interest of the Democratic Party to not impeach the president, to keep it out.
Why is that?
Well, because if you look at what happened with President Clinton, when Republicans impeached him in the House and it failed in the Senate, it actually helped him to re-election. And so she sees that. They think that
So it's kind of a victimization.
That's right. Made him sympathetic to an awful lot of folks.
Right.
The issue is the base of the Democrats are going to vote for whoever that person is, and the base of the Republicans is going to vote for Trump in 2020. It's the independents in the middle that will decide. And what she's seeing, and what the rest of us are seeing, is that the independents are ready to move on. You know, we did the House version, we did the Senate kind of innuendo kind of thing, they never did issue a report, but then Mueller's thorough investigation, they're ready to move on. And so she sees that, and she understands that if they keep at this impeachment thing, it will push the independents further and further toward re-electing President Trump. And so she understands it's not in their best interest. However, she has some really strong-willed advocates for impeachment, like Maxine Waters and others, who will demand a vote, and she may be overrun by her own side.
Okay, that's enough on the Trump impeachment thing. You've always been a champion of our national security and also of technology. And there's new technology out there called 5G, and there's a Chinese company that's. And we were talking about this before we got on camera here. That's Huawei.
Yep.
So explain to people in I guess the common man's terms how this Chinese company could, I guess, spy on us from cell phone towers.
Sure. Step back a little bit.
Okay.
China is led by a fellow named Xi Jinping, who has eliminated term limits on being the leader of the country and is now, for all intents and purposes, in my view, emperor of China. He has a vision for what China will become over the next decades, that it will reassert itself in the world order, that will be the dominant nation, certainly in the Asia-Pacific, Indo-Pacific area, but worldwide, and will use any means whatsoever to make that happen.
Right.
Corporations in China operate at the pleasure of the Communist Party, at the pleasure of Xi Jinping. And while they may act like they're a publicly held company, they all have to have communists on their board. And Huawei and ZTE and these other providers cannot assure us in any rational way that the Chinese government will step in, force them to do things with their technology that would allow the Chinese to spy on us.
We have backdoors.
Read our emails, all those kind of good things, using their gear. And so we know that we shouldn't be putting that gear in place. What they've done, and in order to advantage Huawei, they basically predatory price their gear into the market at prices below what everybody else can do because they get support from the Chinese government and the demand from the Chinese government. So it's not in our nation's best interest to allow Huawei and ZTE and these other Chinese companies to have critical links into our infrastructure. 5G, probably not in the next 10 years, but beyond 10 years, this Internet of Things, 5G is going to be the implementing factor for making that happen.
And you're saying like 5G would be, you could hook your dishwasher up to it.
That's right. That's right. Your entire house will be hooked up, your dishwasher, our electrical grid, everything is going to be.
There'll be a camera on every corner?
Well, I don't know about a camera, but there will be, that's in China.
Yeah.
Social media in China. You have a social media score in China. They have enough computing power from a facial recognition standpoint that if they catch you jaywalking, they can they'll know who you are, they will dock your points off your social media score, right? If you post something negative, it'll dock that. They are now able to control.
If I were in China and we were running San Angelo Live in China, we would have a negative score.
Well,
you would have some of the comments.
You would have no audience. You'd have no audience.
Yeah, we'd have no audience. They would shut us down.
Yeah, you would not.
Because our score would be so low.
Well, no, they would be a lot of other things, because you can't do this from jail very well. So, but example, they'll know where their cars are, they know how much electricity you use, they know your cell phone usage. All this stuff is now being collected by the government. Xi Jinping will have control over the masses of China that Stalin and Lenin never dreamed about having. And they're letting it happen to themselves because things are prosperous. The middle class is growing really well, but there are dark clouds on the horizon where China is concerned. But we as Americans should protect ourselves. and not let ZTE and Huawei and these other providers into our critical infrastructure. Now, there are many rural places in America where that pricing model was so attractive that those rural communities have embraced that technology. As our 5 Eye partners and other partners around the world.
Well, let's back up a second. You're talking about rural communities getting broadband? Is that what
Yes.
So that's under the Agriculture Department, which you
FCC and Ag perhaps has a our policy is to in the Farm Bill we just did was to set standards, how fast up and down could you go, and be agnostic with respect to the equipment.
How fast the
that we set a
speeds
standard looking at 10, 15, 30 years, but we don't say anything about how.
I got you.
That's up to the technology, because there's actually some pretty dramatic changes on the immediate horizon that could potentially eliminate the need for fiber in rural America altogether. Anyway, back to the problems with Huawei ZTE. As our partners overseas allow them further access into their networks, we can't let our secrets transit their gear, because if we do, the potential is that they'll steal it.
Yeah, but even if it's encrypted, they sort of store on a server, and they can figure out how to de-encrypt it.
So, and they, while we keep saying we don't do that well, they just had a fellow arrested in Poland for having done that. The Italians have just found it's old gear, but they've just found a back door that was in some hardware that they bought from the Chinese 10 years ago. They found a back door in it. They couldn't tell if it had been used or not, but it was there.
Do you think, like this is a national security concern, do you think that the Democrats on the Intel Committee they see the same concerns? Or
Yes.
They do?
Yeah.
So you think you could probably get some bipartisan?
Yeah, no, these threats are not. It's interesting. We've got, in the intelligence world, there's compartmentalization, where you compartmentalize certain things that are going on because they're so sensitive you can't let just a few people know. Even within your own organization, you don't let folks know. We are able to compartmentalize on the committee the Russia stuff and then the work that we're supposed to be doing. We had some really good hearings this week on budget and some of the other things that are going on. That's the normal work that you typically would expect the Intelligence Committee. There was nothing partisan about it. It was both sides asking the right kind of questions. And so, yeah, with these kind of threats and that particular work of the committee, we're pretty much in agreement moving forward. It's just good. The Russia stuff that's got us jammed up.
Well, that's all you hear about on the national news.
That's true. Well, you're not supposed to hear about that other stuff, because
secret.
You're right, it's secret. If you only hear about it if we screwed something up or something got screwed up, and so. But yeah, we're able to compartmentalize and move forward.
Well, Congressman Conway, thank you very much for coming
Joe,
out.
thank you, buddy. Good to be with you. Appreciate you having me on.
Appreciate you coming out here.